Hollywood productions, commercial shoot sets, movies or series on Netflix. We all associate these with film sets, but the film set actually moves into the film studio. Today we're at the Juice Studio, where we'll talk with Michał about aspects related to new technologies, filming and film production, see what they can achieve.
I believe that talent is 10% and 90% is hard work. I started studying, but I dropped out of college because at the same time I started studying, we founded a company. Everyone we employ is self-taught. At a certain point, you have the equipment and a developing eye, meaning you're cultivating your own taste. And then it's a matter of experience. It's very hard to reach
Thousands of zlotys?
Yes.
How long did you spend on those 30 minutes?
It was about 2.5 to 3 months.
We're entering the film world, mostly linked to the film set, but it also involves conceptual and studio work. With me is Michał. Greetings to you.
Hi.
You are a director, but you also spend much time in the studio.
Yes, I'm a director. I'm also a co-owner of a post-production and sound studio, basically a powerhouse that handles image post-production comprehensively. That's why we're sitting in a sound studio, which is one of the final stages of making films. And yes, I direct on a daily basis.
From what I've seen, your projects are quite a specific field. It's not film, it's not a TV series. These are really massive video productions. Is all of this created digitally, or are there productions shot on set as well?
I have an aesthetic that incorporates these techniques. Overall, by origin, I'm a designer, which means I started out and went through all the steps of the film production pipeline. I used to draw concepts, then I built treatments, then I was an art director, so I was responsible for how a film or a part of a film would look. Step by step, I got to the point where I started directing these things a few years ago. Generally, I have an aesthetic that combines the world of post-production with the world of live action.
How did your adventure with film begin?
I started when I was about 17, designing album covers for well-known hip-hop artists in Poland, for hip-hop squads. That's also how I met my current business partner. We were making websites, designing album covers, some illustrations, and over time, the design, which was so deeply rooted in us, meaning that purely conceptual creative work, drawing, designing, coming up with ideas, evolved from static images into animated ones. It smoothly shifted into animation, so I became an animation art director and started directing. Step by step, I came to the point where I started missing that human factor in my work. I'm not referring to Pixar or Disney level, since watching Inside Out 1 or 2, they can easily make someone cry. Nevertheless, I reached a point where the graphics I was designing needed to be complemented by that human factor. That's why I started directing live action projects to show real people and real emotions. And somehow it just smoothly transitioned through all the stages of my career.
But what does a director actually do?
Oh.
Cinematographer?
Yes.
Holds the camera and shoots. The sound engineer holds the microphone.
Yes.
The screenwriter writes the script.
Yes.
Who is the director currently, in film and also specifically related to such animations?
Yes, the director, the terminology is often confused. When I say I'm directing, many people think I'm the one holding the camera. No, that's not it. I'm responsible for executing these things, so I'm really the one connecting the dots and the guardian of the vision. So if a client, an agency, or someone who wants to hire me to make my film chooses me because they like my aesthetic, my direction with actors, and how these films turn out, because that's what my portfolio shows, and my job often involves rewriting very raw scripts. For example, someone wants a car to go from point A to point B, and there is a happy family in the car. So my job is to make sure that, well, first of all, the film carries itself, meaning that whoever is watching it doesn't get bored. So that all the issues concerning real emotions, to give it that human factor, to really lift these films to a genuine level.
On one hand is the human factor, on the other, increasing amount of technology in your productions can be seen.
That's right.
More and more graphics, more and more artificial intelligence.
Yes.
It has to be said, everything is moving that way.
Yes.
How does it look now? Is it still the same? A director's chair labeled director, where you sit with a cap and say, that turned out great? Or is it more like 80% of the work happens here in this studio, where you oversee people clicking with a mouse?
You know what? I'll be completely honest with you. It depends. But of course, I also have this particular approach that I create films whose worlds are unique, transporting the viewer to a world that either never existed and can be created from scratch, or is an adaptation of some real world, but still in a very surreal way. So I give it this label that, in my opinion, these things are more unique, but there are projects, as you mentioned, where my work on set is simply filming the actor. He's on a blue screen, I have trackers behind me, and the world around him, well, is created on the computer, right?
But do you do this in real time, that you're on the film set and thanks to the equipment you're able to generate it, render it on the spot? So for example, something appears on that blue screen so the client can imagine it. How do you work? With what equipment?
There are such possibilities. I also prepare for the project by having a pre-production period. And this is the period when I develop the script, generate, create, and draw. It also depends on the needs. There are concepts, meaning I build this world. All of this is packed into something that in our industry is called a treatment, and I send this treatment to a potential client, agency, or whoever is hiring me, right? And based on that, they say, damn, this Misinski did a great job, he gets the job. And then we move on to the production stage, and during this stage, we decide how to best make the film. So whether we go to a real location or we close ourselves in a studio and do it on a blue screen, or, of course, there are such possibilities. So you have a big LED behind you, where you place the character, and behind them, there's an LED that's about 25 meters wide and 6 meters high. And it shows in real time a world that, well, I personally think isn't fully realistic yet, but it's getting there. So for example, it's great if you need to, I don't know, throw Ronaldo onto Mars.
Let's say 10 or 15 years ago, when there was a director, when films were being edited, the technological leap was rather slow. Today, I imagine it's a matter of a few months and it's really moving forward. How do you operate?
When I started directing, the process was more complicated because the computing power of computers was poorer, so things took longer to process. There were situations, I think it was in 2017 or 2016, when I was working on a project with Ridley Scott, and there we had to render a small spaceship called Ares. I remember that one shot took 2 or 3 weeks to render, right?
Oh, Jesus.
If we were operating and executing a project like The Martian now, we would probably deliver it 50 or 60% faster, using, for example, NVIDIA. That's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, these cards work so fast, you're able to get things in real time.
Okay, but you work on your own equipment. Thanks to NVIDIA, you're able to render it on your own hardware, because probably viewers nowadays often render some videos themselves, or they see videos rendered by artificial intelligence but rendered in the cloud, so you never really know how long it's going to take. You work strictly on the equipment you have, right?
You also have to separate the non-commercial, amateur, and professional aspects. For us, it's just render farms, meaning we simply have rooms with 150 computers, which are dedicated solely to making sure that the artist who is working on something can see the result immediately. They don't have to send it to the cloud. Besides, let's be honest, when you build your infrastructure based on your own server, you have all the security issues taken care of. For example, in the case of car commercials, which I work on a lot, I get prototypes of cars that haven't gone into production yet, and we're already making films. I've signed NDAs. This car, there's only one in the world, I go in to see it, and they take my phone before I enter, so I can't take any pictures. So if I were to use technology that's in the cloud, I would be exposing myself to a very big risk that the cloud could break, letting someone access something they shouldn't.
Can this be, let's say, separated even further between the commercial part, where you mentioned the whole server farm and the whole rendering farm that you have, let's say, in a room, and the part where we just put in electricity and something comes out, but to be kind of a semi-professional, to have your own equipment, a laptop,
Yes.
a computer with NVIDIA, so you can work
Yes.
on your own hardware?
I think there's a kind of mid-step, so I see it this way. If you're excited about AI, if you're excited about technology, you can very easily check if it's cool, prompt something for yourself, or use something like Midjourney and see if it works. But if you want to be kind of mid-pro, then you build your own station. You obviously need the right graphics card. You build your model on Comfy UI, and you have everything locally, so it's safe. So actually, it's clear that laptops also have their own limitations at some point, so the workstation is crucial, right?
Referring further to this semi-professionalism,
Yes.
where you can work on at home on your computer, a lot of viewers probably have professional or semi-professional equipment, which they mostly use just to have fun playing games,
Yes.
to spend time. And there really is that equipment, the graphics cards are quite powerful.
Yes.
Is that also something you can already use to render to become a sort of mini director?
Yes, a director. If you want to create anything at all, at our place, on our farm, we just have regular RTXs. They're not the cheapest models, but generally they're within reach. Gaming computers are definitely equipped with them.
Right, how can you develop yourself at home? We already have this equipment, or we'll buy it, we have some money to invest, that's cool. We're building our own station, or maybe a laptop with an NVIDIA card and the equipment is ready, but what next?
If someone has ambitions to do something in the visual world, like becoming an AI artist, learning VFX, editing, or other similar things around filmmaking, YouTube, the first 15 minutes, there are tons of tutorials that honestly, up to the level where we would already hire someone, will be enough, right? I mean, because what really builds a professional career later on is that you reach a certain level where you just have the equipment, you more or less have an eye for it, meaning your taste is developing, and then later on, it's a matter of experience. Every project is different, whether it's a more emotional human aspect or more of a CGI animation, it's all about experience. And that takes years. But up until the moment when we can actually recruit someone, it's probably just a few months of sitting at home and we can invite you. In our company, really, every person who is employed, and over the course of 20 years, probably about 1,000 people have gone through us, is self-taught.
Did you finish a film school?
No, and that's exactly, I didn't finish film school. Actually, I started studying, but I dropped out because at the same time that I started my education, we started a company.
So you don't have to. So that's also information for the viewers. It's cool, it's worth it, but as you've heard,
Yes.
you can simply have a laptop at home, study in practice. Instead of 5 years, it's 5 months, and you can already start working on some cool projects. Speaking of those cool projects, what I also mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Las Vegas, the screen that I think every viewer has seen, write in the comments if you know what we're talking about now. The Sphere, a huge dome where there are concerts inside, and something is displayed on the outside as well. And you, Pols, you create, you make these graphics, you make these videos,
Yes.
animations.
That's right. As one of the few vendors in the world, we managed to get access to this kind of sphere rooster. I can tell you about two. Well, one is a Backstreet Boys concert, so that's great. I think it was called Millennium.
And what is happening? They're performing throughout the entire Sphere.
Yes.
Some animations are showing.
Yes, these are visualizations that are synchronized with the song, so we get a track list for the entire concert. The concert lasts an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we, as a studio, are responsible for 20 or 30 minutes of that content, which is later played live for all the viewers who come to see it. Honestly, if I had to position the Sphere right after the Super Bowl, or maybe even before it, it's really the fanciest marketing place where you can showcase your artistry, right? Because getting to the Sphere and working there is a medium that's very powerful in marketing terms, very prestigious. It's very technologically complex because the resolution you have to render everything in is... The scale of this Sphere nowadays is similar to that ship from The Martian I talked about 10 years ago, right?
But what kind of quality is it? What kind of, let's say...
That's 16K. There's absolutely no way to cheat there because it's so big and the pixel grain that appears there doesn't forgive any mistakes, right?
Yes.
I mean, even though people are sitting there and everything is at a distance, probably 20 or 30 meters away from them, because it's a dome after all, well, the render times are enormous.
How long did you spend working on those 30 minutes?
It was about 2.5 to 3 months.
So you spent 3 months just in the studio, never leaving the computer?
Yes, the team was practically working day and night to deliver it. Here, the motivation with Backstreet Boys was probably also nostalgia because things like this only happen once in a while, so we also had some fun.
How many people work on this over those 3 months? Because that's also a matter of scale and imagination. You, as the director, put it all together, but how many people, let's say, are sitting looking at those computers?
With the Sphere, in the end, I don't even remember. Everyone was doing something, everyone was tinkering with something.
But everyone means I don't know how many.
Juice has 120 people.
120 people at work.
I mean, just to be clear, the structure of Juice has 120 people. It's hard to say exactly how many people, because there was also a legal department that handled contracts, finance that made sure there was cash flow, and the actual transfer of funds to make it all happen, buying licenses, some kinds of software. So realistically, to give you the scale of the team, if I had to put it in numbers, it would probably be around 40 people in total, you could say. Everyone was doing something on the project.
Okay.
Of course, in the meantime, there were also other projects going on, because in our studio pipeline, there are tons of projects. I mean, they're always happening.
Exactly. Isn't someone going to say now which direction all of this is going in? Back in the day, all you needed was, let's say, a director in that chair, a camera, a microphone, some mastering, and so on. Later, it was all done on one computer. Now, electricity costs tens of thousands of zlotys along with energy and labor. Is all this really needed? Is this the right direction? This artificial intelligence, on one hand, people say it takes away jobs, but on the other hand, it seems to me there are definitely more people involved in making a film like this.
I don't like to scare people about AI because there's a big pushback stating that it's a scary technology that's going to take away jobs. It will take away jobs, but from people who want that and who have actually stopped their own self-development, because I think the human factor is necessary since it gives you the sense of taste that AI doesn't have, and I think it won't have it for a long time. That's why the human factor is needed in AI-related work, and I also think that AI is fallible. I also think, and it's the simplest reason why people will still be responsible for this. You can't fire AI. I mean, if someone hires me to deliver a film, then I'm the one responsible for that film. So there is some responsibility on one person, on two people, on the company, on the individual.
I always refer to my viewers on the Do Roboty channel who are watching and are here with us. Of course, they leave likes and comment on this material. They have already seen those videos on YouTube that can teach them how to create such visualizations, graphics, and videos. They have a GeForce RTX as a part of their equipment, laptop or computer, so the hardware is powerful. But what programs you, as professionals, or they, as semi-professionals, still amateurs, can use that would allow them to generate such things?
I would start with free programs. Unreal is a very nice environment to work in, especially with a GeForce, with RTX, real-time rendering, from games to virtual production, which I mentioned. In addition to that, Blender is a really cool thing. Blender and Unreal, that's the kind of mix that can replace a professional pipeline.
So, as far as I understand, you talked about programs for creating 3D graphics, for making games, but where is the AI in all this?
Well, here I would honestly recommend the Comfy UI models. Comfy UI is free, it's very easy to configure and install on one's own computer. And the number of models that are available, the free ones that you can customize for your own needs, is enough to work at a semi-professional level.
Okay, and as I personally know, you can find hundreds of these courses on YouTube, both Polish and foreign. But is talent or some kind of mental sharpness important or necessary for all of this? So, we finished a different school, we have no idea at all how to work with AI, how to work with graphics, visualization, or video. Is talent necessary, or is it just a small part of it?
I think talent is 10%. 90% is hard work, or rather work, learning, and observing. Thanks to talent, you can reach a certain point faster, but you can't skip the learning process. And generally,
we've already passed those 3 stages, so someone just starting has that 10% talent. They trained and learned on their own computer, so they have some knowledge when starting a job like this, but there are still things they don't know. So what can they think about? What kind of amounts can they expect? What can they achieve? What are the ranges?
From a few to a dozen or so. It's very hard to reach several dozen.
Thousands zlotys?
Yes, it also depends on the specialist, on who will be responsible for what they do, and I think that's the range.
But the vision is cool, because when we already have some knowledge and use it, doing what we like, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Because in this job, you have to, let's say, rendering that rain, or creating, or having the vision for the whole thing.
The passion that accompanies us at work is also something that allows us to endure in this job, because this is a job that requires quite a lot of stress resistance, because often it comes with a lot of pressure to deliver something by a specific deadline. After all, you can't really postpone a concert in this field, right?
That's right.
The coolest thing is that it's created by a group of people whose goal is to deliver the best, most enjoyable thing they're capable of.
Michał, the viewers who are making it to the end with us, of course, everyone who leaves a thumbs up and is interested in the topic, they either have GeForce RTX at home or will soon learn how to get it, and they have that 10% talent. So do you have a job for them too?
Yes, of course, we invite them.
There's a job one can apply, right?
Yes, on Juice's website you can find a link to the job section or something like that. And we invite everyone who's interested.
Okay, you did a great job offering work at your place, but as you can see, the job is probably both relaxed and professional, just like Michał, and it's cool and you can get things done. So we definitely encourage and invite you. Of course, with this equipment, you can play games, develop your skills, create some cool animations, or work with AI. If you don't have it yet, click the links in the description to check out the offer. In my opinion, the film industry is a highly creative field. You can call the people who work in it artists. Today, into our Do Roboty box. It's hard to put a price on my work, so I'm putting in 300 zlotys because I think creative work should be well valued and well paid. So 300 goes into the box today. What happens with the box, you'll find out on my Instagram on Kaczmarczyk. Stay up to date by subscribing to the Do Roboty channel because we're going live now, and check out what the money will go to. Of course, leave a thumbs up under this video. Subscribe to the Do Roboty channel to stay up to date. 300 zlotys more in the box.